Hi, Jacqueline Whitaker, and this is my research presentation. I am finishing up my program in assessment, curriculum, and teaching with a concentration in STEM. I am a second grade teacher at Claremont Elementary School in the Solanco School District, and I have 16 students that I carried out this research project with. The purpose of my study, the problem that I was looking at was math fact fluency, specifically addition facts in second grade. Why I've noticed students struggle greatly with basic addition facts, even up to 10. However, I was doing through 20 in this project. And a lot of what we do in second grade builds upon the fact that they should have those basic skills, and when they don't have them, I see them just fall further and further behind as we advance. For example, we learn about addition with regrouping, and we just continue to build, and when students cannot successfully solve basic addition facts quickly, I really see them struggle during the school year. I was hoping to learn which method, individual or collaborative, worked best to increase students' math fact fluency. My research question was, what is the effect on student knowledge and growth of basic addition facts when working collaboratively in the second grade mathematics classroom? Some related literature, I pulled for this presentation 3 of the articles that I used. The top one investigated effective fluency instruction, and they devoted 15 minutes a day, 3 times a week for fluency instruction, and found that students showed significant growth when dedicating that amount of time. My second study was investigating partner and small group mathematics, and it found that the partnerships were productive and that students really enjoyed working together, and that was a positive thing. And then my last study talked about using games and working with others. And as you can see in this specific study, student scores rose a lot, 39.5 points from pre-test to post-test. And this study included interviews and found that students' thoughts about working with a partner were positive. They thought it made it more fun, they could help each other, which suggests that students may be more motivated and enthusiastic about math-related tests when they're presented in new and exciting ways. So I did a prior unit where students worked individually and they used Extra Math, a fact program on their iPads. And then I was going to introduce math in a new and exciting way, which I will explain here. I dedicated 10 minutes each day for partner fact practice over the course of 2 weeks. So students participated in a variety of games and practice activities with a specific partner. So after I gave the pre-test, I matched up partners, like a partner who scored a lower score on the pre-test was paired with a partner who had a higher score. Of course, I also took just how I knew the students and how they might work well together into consideration as well. So the data that I collected was pre and post test scores. So they had 3 minutes to complete the pre-test to see how many problems they could solve correctly. And then we did 2 weeks, 10 minutes each day, and they worked with a partner. And then a post-test. Again, they had 3 minutes, and I scored how many they could correctly solve in those 3 minutes. The individual unit, pre-test, post-test were very similar. So the same thing happened there, where they took the pre-test, then for 2 weeks, 10 minutes of individual fact practice, and then the post-test as well. These are just some examples that I included in my paper of some of the activities that students were including. In the top left, this is what the pre and post tests looked like. So there was just a lot of problems. So I knew that no student would get to the end of them, so they could see how many they could solve. And then these were some examples of things I had students engage in. Tic-tac-toe, some other games here, spin and add, using some cubes. There were other things as well that students engaged in, but this is a sampling of things that students were doing over those 2 weeks of collaborative practice. Here are my findings. In the top graph, you see the individual pre and post tests, so you can see all of my students and how they scored. And then down below, you see the collaborative pre and post test. So during the individual, students grew by an average of 6 more problems answered during the 3-minute timing. And you can see kind of the breakdown of that in my graph. And in the collaborative unit, students grew by an average of 5 more problems answered during the 3-minute timing from pre-test to post-test. So the findings were pretty similar. There's not a huge difference between an average of 6 more or an average of 5 more, but I do think it's positive that in both students were growing by a fairly significant amount. There is something that I dug in a little bit more, and that was the growth being a little bit more consistent during the collaborative unit. So during the individual units, which is the orange bars, you see that STEM students grew a ton, like a lot, while other students grew just a very small amount. And I found during the collaborative unit, it was a little more even throughout, which I think I could attest to them working with a partner. Some limitations, though, that I did face were I had a lot of student absences during the 2-week period due to quarantines and sicknesses. Also, prior knowledge played a large factor in it. Some students were already performing at about the highest a second grader could go, which made their growth less. And of course, off-task behavior that you will get when students work with a partner. My conclusion, what did I learn? I learned that fact practice, even just 10 minutes a day, greatly increases student knowledge. And it may not matter exactly how the facts are practiced, but just that they are being practiced. Because I saw that there wasn't a large amount of difference between individual and collaborative, but there was growth. How does this impact my role as a teacher? It makes me just emphasize in my classroom the importance of fact practice each day or as much as possible and how that can help students. Also, it makes me wonder if I could investigate a little bit more how my students learn best to help support them. There are some students who did a better job when they were working by themselves, and some students whose scores were better when they were working with a partner. And so I think investigating that could definitely help students succeed. How could this project inform my school? I think it definitely stresses the importance of fact practice and the growth that it can show. And I think this also shows that if perhaps it was implemented in previous grades, kindergarten, first grade, students maybe once they reach second grade could have facts mostly mastered in addition, and then we could move on to subtraction or other skills and build upon that. And I think it could also help to further study the individual versus collaborative debate when working with math facts. And these are the references that I used in my presentation. Thank you.